One. Hey guys, welcome into the Stinkin Truth Podcast alongside Mike Evans. I am Mark Schlereth. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button. We truly appreciate that as we continue to grow. Mike, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. I wish I could have been a fly on the wall inside the owners' meeting yesterday when the debate was going back and forth about whether or not to ban the Tush Push. So I don't know if you heard about this. I know you did, but this is awesome. So Jeffrey Lurie, the owner of the Philadelphia Eagles, the Tush Push, made a speech that lasted close to an hour in trying to defend the play because it looked like the play might be voted out. And he said, among the things he said was it was going to be a win-win for the Eagles, adding that it was like a, quote, wet dream for a teenage boy to create a play that was so successful that the only way for it to be stopped was for it to be banned. Now, after Lurie got done speaking, Executive Vice President of Football Operations Troy Vincent chastised Lurie for using the wet dream comment, saying it was inappropriate. And then Lurie continued to speak. And at one point, Jerry Jones asked a few questions. And then Bills owner Terry Pagula, a critic of the Tush Push, said his team was good at the play and still supported banning it. And after the hour had passed, San Francisco 49ers owner Jed York asked Lurie, quote, how much more shit he needed to say. This is good. This is good.
Like Jeffrey Lurie, too, is not a guy that says a lot, not a guy that talks a lot, right? And obviously in passion speech, I don't know how many people he swayed because the vote was 22-10, and to have it pass, it needed to go 24-8. So they missed it by 2 votes to getting it banned. They missed by 2 votes to get it banned. So, I mean, obviously, Jeffrey Lurie did a great job of stating his case. Maybe it was just a filibuster, and they're like, Lord have mercy. All right, we'll vote for you just to get your ass off the stage. Yeah, really, really interesting. And I think the whole Tush Push thing, the whole debate has become fascinating to me. Because I've told you many times, Mike, there are certain parts of football where it's illegal to do that, right? On special teams, on PAT field goal, on pump block, you can't do that. So, like the fact that you're allowed to do it on the offensive side, certainly if this was a defensive play that was deemed unstoppable, you know what the NFL would do? They would ban it because they're like, we don't want to give the defense a decided advantage. And I understand a lot of teams being against it because, 1, they're not built that way. 2, they don't want to put their quarterback in harm's way. And so they don't like the play. They don't want to have to defend it either. So there are kind of 3 pillars to stand on if you're opposed to the Tush Push. But I also understand the teams that are like, no, damn it, you came up with something innovative. You came up with a physical football play. We need more of that, more run the ball, more dictate in the running game, more dictate in short yardage and goal line. And I used to say this all the time, and it's cool that it's come full circle with the Philadelphia Eagles. When Chip Kelly was the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, they led the league in rushing like every year. And I used to get on TV, and you know how I am on TV sometimes. I will poke the bear. I will needle people a little bit. I used to say all the time, the Philadelphia Eagles don't know how to run the ball. And people in Philly would go ballistic, Mike. It was the greatest thing ever. You dumbass, do you not look at the statistics? We lead the league in rushing. We average 136 yards a game, number 1 in the NFL. You're a moron. You don't know what you're looking at. Do you even watch the games?
Oh,
you
got that one?
The game has passed you by. And I'd be like, no, you guys don't understand football. Because if you look at your rushing, right, and they had Shady McCoy at the time, and if you look at your rushing, it's 1 yard, 2 yards, 1 yard, 2 yards, 3 yards, 4 yards, 2 yards, 3 yards, 4 yards, 48 yards. And they'd have, it'd be it'd be 21 rushes for 136 yards, but 19 of those rushes would be for 40 yards. And they'd have 2 breakouts, and the breakouts would be like on 3rd down and 7, right? Mm-hmm. Something of that nature. And I'm like, you don't know how to run the ball, because running the ball, to me, what defines it is your ability when everybody in the stadium, including the defense that you're playing against, knows that you're running the ball and you run it anyhow. How are you on 2nd down and 4-? How are you on 3rd down and 4-? How do you run the ball in the red zone? Can you do it when everybody knows you're going to do it and everybody is hell-bent for election to stop it? Can you do it in those situations? And the teams, to me, that can do it in those situations, those are the teams that know how to run the ball. And that's why I have a lot of affinity and a lot of just praise for the Philadelphia Eagles, saying we're going to line up here and shove it down your throat. I love that aspect of what they're doing. Now, and I love the fact that the NFL has gotten to be a safer place, and they recognize these things, because in my day, we'd have just stopped it. Or before my day, there would have been some frontier justice. You'd have lined up with, a guy on a nose guard with somebody shoving him in there, and you'd take it out of center's knee. Or you'd find a way to crush the quarterback in that situation, and eventually spear him in the ribs when he's already over the line of scrimmage. And eventually, you go, hey, man, we're risking injury to our quarterback, and the play would just dissipate. It would just fade away. And I'm glad the NFL has changed from some of the, awful things that we used to do on a daily basis, because you could. So I'm glad for that. I'm glad for that.
Is the fan in you, the football fan in you, are you happy that this play is sticking around? I as a football fan myself, I enjoy it. I think it's entertaining. I think there's something cool about the idea that everybody knows what's coming, and they still can't stop it. I mean, it's fascinating to watch, and the fact that they're the only team that can do it at this level, like it was kind of funny and sad at the same time, depending on if you're a fan of this team. But trying to watch the Bills do it in that AFC Championship game against Kansas City, I mean, that was painful. And so I don't know what the Bills owner is saying, that we're good at it. You weren't good at it.
Honestly, the Bills were really good at it. Not in that Kansas City game, but they were very successful running that, over the course of the season. But yeah, I don't understand. Here's what I don't understand. Whether it's on my television show with Danny Parkins or other people, I've heard the same thing. It's a rugby play. It's not a football play. I don't find it entertaining. Blah, blah, blah. Why don't you just line up on 1st down and get 3 yards, and 2nd down 3 yards, and 3rd down 3 yards, and then convert on 4th down and go all the way down the football? I find it entertaining. I'm like, how are you going to stop it? Every time I look at it, I'm like, oh, and what comes off of it? What's the play action off of it? And all those things. And that's why the defense can't do it, because if I was defense, I'd line up I'd have 2 guys in the A gap, right? And 2 pushers behind them. And I'd give up a potential long, I would do it in the, right at the goal line or whatever. And I'd try to take out the center and try to take out the quarterbacks, right? Do that and have your guys doing the same thing they're doing, shoving dudes through that A gap and trying to blow that damn thing up. And hey, if they play action us, play action be damned. We're screwed. But again, that goes back to my mentality of how are we going to create some frontier justice? Now we're going to stop this thing. And and eventually somebody's going to figure it out, right? Eventually somebody's going to do something, and maybe you would consider it, I don't know, maybe, maybe not perfectly legal, but it's going to happen. It'll, I don't know. I find it entertaining. I'm like you, man. I think the play's great. I love it. It's a showcase.
The other plan it didn't fail. It wasn't voted down. It was withdrawn because it would have been voted down. But the Lions proposal, we talked about this the other day, the idea of reseeding, so that it was all based in the AFC and NFC based on records, not division winners. You could be a division winner, but still finish seated behind a wild card team. That did not pass. The NFL sending the very clear message that they want to, provide the integrity of the divisions, and whoever wins their division, it truly is a reward. You get a home game. I still just don't see the wisdom in that. It to me, you should not be given a home game just because you won a mediocre division. You?
Yeah, but what if the flip side of that is true? What if you won an unbelievably tough division? So let's look at the NFC East, right? You had the NFC East champions. They faced the runners-up in the NFC East in the NFC Championship game to go to the Super Bowl, right? And then let's say, hey, man, Dallas is back playing really well. They traded for George Pickens. Dak Prescott is back healthy. He was, a runner-up in the MVP race a couple of years ago. So let's say all of a sudden Dallas is really good. And let's say these teams in that division play exceptional. By the way, the Giants have an exceptional defense. They're big, they're physical, all those things. So let's say everybody's just, busy beating the snot out of one another. And the winner of that division, let's call it 10-7, right? 10-7 and 9-8, 9-8. And you're looking at that going, man, we won the division, the toughest division in all of football. And yet we still have not the greatest of records because our division is so tough. Should we be penalized? Because our record isn't as good as it would be if we played in the AFC South?
What's more likely, though? What's more likely to have a division that everybody can agree is really, really good, and the division winner goes 10-7 or 9-8, versus how often you're going to have what everybody agrees is a pretty mediocre division, and that winner goes 10-7, 9-8, and gets to host a playoff game? I just think you're going to find far more examples of like the NFC South these last couple of years versus what you're laying out, where everybody can say, wow, that is a heavyweight division, and everybody went 9-8.
Right. Yeah. You just, again, you don't know. And the owners are worried about getting penalized. Plus they want to hold true to the integrity of winning your division, which my thing is your reward is you get in the playoffs. I get it. But there's part of me that just says, hey man, win your division. And if you're a wild card team, you're a wild card team. Go on the road and whip somebody's ass. And hey man, I've been a number one seed overall in the playoffs that got beat at home to a wild card team. It was painful, but it, was the catalytic event in the Denver Broncos kind of life cycle, that propelled us to back-to-back world championships. And I was also a wild card team that went on the road at 12-4 against the Steelers team that won their division and had a worse record than us. And you know what I did? I opened a can of whoop ass. That's what I did.
But if you just go, but just answer this question for me, just I guess indulge me and others who believe and think like I do. Were the Minnesota Vikings a better football team through the regular season, a better football team than the LA Rams?
Oh yeah, record wise, yeah,
and eye test everything,
yeah.
So shouldn't they be allowed to host? If those two teams are going to meet, shouldn't they be allowed to host the playoff game? That was not the case last year. Now, granted, we had the fires, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
if that had happened, the Rams would have been at home hosting Minnesota.
But I will tell you this: it's also how you end the season. The Minnesota Vikings didn't end the season well, and the Rams did. And
they were 14-3.
But they lost toward the end of the season.
So,
well, I mean, my thought process was one of the things I said going into the playoffs. There's one team in the NFC right now that people don't really want to play, and that's the Rams. Myself and everybody else included said the same thing in regards to the Rams. So sometimes it's how you finish. I mean, I get it, Mike. I wouldn't be I'm not one of those owners that would be staunch, no, we need a home game. And it's probably more the owners that, own teams like Atlanta and New Orleans and, the two South divisions, both the AFC South and the NFC South. Come on. That's what we're talking about, right?
Right.
In reality, that's what we're talking about. So I wouldn't be opposed to reseeding. That wouldn't bother me a bit. But there are some staunch owners that do not want to give up the quote unquote integrity of winning your division and the importance of winning your division.
All right, so that's not going anywhere. That's not changing. The same status quo stays in place. We also found out by unanimous vote that the NFL loves the idea of their players playing flag football in the Olympics in LA in 2028. Be looking at 10-man teams playing 5v5 against other countries. Do you like the idea of NFL players playing flag football in the Olympics?
First off, all right, the NFL knows how to make money and knows how to, dominate headlines and all those things. And they're all for this, right? They're all for this. And, first off, having flag football in the Olympics seems ridiculous to me.
Have you been following just the sports that have been added to the Winter and Summer Olympics of late?
Right. Breakdancing. Yes, I have. And so the whole thing seems ridiculous. The other thing is, nobody else in the world plays football, really, right? Like it's uniquely American.
Right.
Like, who is going to compete with America when it comes to flag football? How many teams do we get? And could we sweep the medal stand? Could we get gold, silver? Can we have 3 teams in this thing? And then there's one dude that in flag football that calls himself the Patrick Mahomes of flag football. Guess what?
Yes.
Yeah. Guess what, young man? You're the real Patrick Mahomes of flag of actual football is going to take over for you. So we should be awesome at it. I understand, being an NFL player and wanting to play flag football because you can get an Olympic gold medal. And why wouldn't you want an Olympic gold medal? I get the whole thing seems a little bit faulty to me. But more power to us. Right? I'm sure we lobbied for this because there's nobody whipping our ass in flag football. That's for sure.
So a little birdie told me that you are once were quite the all-time quarterback for a flag football team that you played on?
We used to do sometimes when I played with the Broncos, we would do a big kind of flag football, kind of flag football thing. And it was kind of big man flag football, right? So it was all the offensive and defensive linemen, and we would do that in lieu of like running hundreds and stuff. So everybody's running around having a good time. And yours truly had the big time arm.
Really?
Yeah, oh my! I can still spin it. I can spin it. Probably all those years of playing baseball with my son, right? All those catches we had. Yeah, so I would be the when we played big man flag football, big man touch football. I was the quarterback of the big man touch football team.
Have you kind of reached your capacity, your limit for being interested in Hard Knocks? We found out yesterday that we'll have the Buffalo Bills for spring for training camp Hard Knocks, and then during the regular season it'll be a look at the NFC East. Last year it was the NFC North. This year it'll be the NFC East. How are you feeling about Hard Knocks coming back into our living rooms and on streaming services and laptops?
Yeah, I lost interest years ago in Hard Knocks, and part of it, Mike, is because you lived it. You know, part of it is, you know, I've seen it. I've seen the drama. I've seen, like, I just remember early in my career playing for Washington. I remember the veteran players, the starters and the veteran players under Joe Gibbs, we used to come in a week late. So the first week of training camp was just for rookies and first-year players. And so I remember coming in, we check in on a Sunday, and the rookies and first-year players actually scrimmaged the Buffalo Bills on Saturday in Buffalo. So we get done with the welcome back to camp meeting for the veterans with the rookies there. We get broken up into our individual rooms, and our coaching staff makes us watch these rookies play this scrimmage against the Buffalo Bills. So we're in this meeting for 2 hours watching this film. It has nothing to do with any of us because none of us played in it, right? None of it. But we're watching the coaches correct these kids, right, and coach these kids up. The next morning, get up, eat breakfast, head over to the facility. All 5 of the starting offensive linemen that were rookies and first-year players were walking out of the facility with trash bags slung over their shoulders. Their stuff. They'd all been cut, all 5 of them. And you're like, you guys made us watch this film of these 5 poor souls who all got cut because they're not making the team. So we had to watch, you could have given us the night off. We had to watch these guys get their asses kicked by the Buffalo Bills. So you've seen it all. Whatever. It doesn't really affect. Although I will say this, after the experience of off-season hard knocks with the New York Giants, where they traded away Saquon Barkley and they made some colossal mistakes by re-signing Daniel Jones, you think they're excited about the in-season NFC East hard knocks? The Giants, how much access is Hard Knocks getting to the Giants? Joe Shane is going to have he'll be buttoned up, man. They may sew his lips shut.
Yeah. You're going to get nothing. You'll get nothing and enjoy it. So, and then you got the Bills for training camp. So there you go there with Hard Knocks. Still not going away. And occasionally we get some really good moments that tend to go viral. People are talking about. We'll see what happens there. I guess a deeper look inside, Josh Allen and the Bills, and I guess that'd be kind of interesting.
I will tell you that Josh Allen, having spent a little time around him, that dude's incredible. He's obviously super, super smart, unbelievably athletic, but he's funny, and he's really snarky funny, like my kind of humor type funny, And so he's a guy that I'm actually looking forward to see how he handles it, and if he's too buttoned up, or if he's actually the dude that he really is. Because I think if he's the guy that he really is, like Madison Avenue America would be fall in love, and not that they aren't already in love with Josh Allen, but I think fall in love with Josh Allen because that dude's, obviously he's MVP and all that stuff, but I think people don't really realize how funny and snarky and everything else he is.
Is there room for Josh Allen in this Pat Mahomes world we all live in? I don't know.
Let's hope so.
I know.
Let's hope.
Nothing against you, Patrick, but you are kind of overexposed out there right now. Finally, this is not an easy transition to make. Sad news out of the NFL. Long time, very successful, very popular owner Jim Irsay of the Colts passing away at in his mid-60s. He had just yesterday sent out a tweet congratulating and wishing the Indiana Pacers luck in their series opener against the Knicks, and then just a few hours he was gone. I know we do our radio show here in Denver with Brandon Stokely, a former Colt, and he raved about him this morning, saying he was great owner, really committed to his players, committed to winning. And, again, one of those owners that like you played for with the Broncos and Pat Bowlen, just kind of that, hey, what do you need to be able to win? What do you need from me? How can I help you guys win? And it seems like Irsay was that kind of owner, heavily involved in charities as well. So big loss for the NFL.
No question about it. Did a lot, had some addiction issues, did a lot for that, raising money, did it, behind closed doors, behind the scenes, everything you hear about him, his work for addicts across just across the board, very philanthropic in that vein. Also, just really one of those guys, like you say, committed to winning, relational with his players, and completely eclectic. I mean, this is a guy that had his own band where he was the front man, and he would pay tons of money to have accomplished musicians to travel and tour with him, right? And had guitar collections and all kinds of cool stuff. And I just he seems like a dude, just like a guy and a guy you want to kind of hang with. So, I know a lot of people that played for him, and obviously, pretty much everybody I know that played for him waxed poetic about what a great guy he is. And like you said, man, I had that kind of relationship with Pat Bowlen. Loved just kind of hanging out and chopping it up with Pat. And so I think that's the way a lot of people felt about Jim Irsay. And obviously they won Super Bowl 41 and they put together an unbelievably competitive and good organization there in Indianapolis. So he will certainly be missed in not only that area, but across the United States of America.
And a man who had his flaws, battled his demons, but did so in a very open fashion and really kind of brought people along, with what he was going through to serve as a bit of a example, role model, however you may want to look at it, but the cautionary tale, whatever. But he was always pretty upfront and open about all of that. So.
Yeah. Seemed like, I didn't know him, but seemed like a great dude and a guy you'd want to play for. And anyhow, rest in peace. Like I said, everybody that I've talked to just raved about him as a dude.
All right. So we'll finish that off with a celebration of a life well lived.
Absolutely, 100%. All right, for everybody involved in the Stinkin' Truth podcast, for Mike, I am Mark. We thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Mike, man, have a great weekend. Enjoy the NBA playoffs. I know we'll continue to talk about it. And
hey, be careful when you walk outside. I mean, I'm sure these Knicks fans are just walking around in a daze. You might, don't be surprised if you start bumping into people because they're just kind of out of it after what went down. By the way, tell me about the hat. You got a little story behind the hat you want to share?
Yeah, this is the Bulls, man. University of South Florida, who are in their conference tournament right now. Got a win last night. Go Bulls. Wait a minute. Go Bulls. That finger doesn't go up anymore. Go. Wait. There you go. Go Bulls. Go Bulls. So that
wow, you got a whiskey dick pinky there.
Yeah, your fingers take a beating when you play this game. So
who's the pitching coach of the Bulls?
The pitching coach is one Mr. Daniel Schlereth.
There you go.
They have had all kinds of great success. Picked to finish dead last in the conference. Ended up taking third in the conference and. Exciting game last night. So they play again Friday night, which is really exciting. And I'll be locked in to watching Bulls baseball on Friday night. But appreciate you, buddy. Appreciate you bringing it up for everybody involved in the Stinkin' Truth podcast. Make sure you guys subscribe, share it with all your friends. Still growing like a weed. So we appreciate that. Mike, appreciate you, buddy. I'll talk to you later on. I'll talk to you tomorrow, probably, right? You on the radio show tomorrow?
Yeah, you there?
Yeah.
All right.
What else am I going to do?
Well, chop it up.
I'm stuck by myself in New York right now. My wife is gallivanting around the country. I don't even know where she is.
Spending your money.
Yeah. That's not my money. It's her money. For everybody involved, we appreciate you. We'll talk to you guys later on the Stinkin' Truth podcast.